friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. If you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show, and today, you guys, we are on episode 178, Being Real with Palminder. You guys, okay, I'm sorry. Every fucking episode I'm going to say I'm excited with guests because I just am. And like, I have been chasing Palminder to come on the show for over a year because this individual single-handedly was the beacon of light for me and the girls during the Freedom Convoy. So I am just so grateful and happy that he came on the show to chat with me about life and just all the real talk, because we chat and we're so aligned with so much. I just absolutely had to have him on the show to share his opinions and bounce off each other, because the vibes are always good and the energy are always good when Palminder is in my life, on my stories, and I just enjoy him so much. So I can't wait for you guys to listen to this episode. But before we do that, I just want to remind you, if you are watching on YouTube or Rumble, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. If you can, comment for engagement. That really helps me, you guys. Obviously, being shadow banned for what feels like a decade, all of those things really help me. It means so much. If you can just go through the other ones and power like, that would be amazing. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple, you can also follow along, and you could also give reviews on those platforms. So if you are so inclined, your babe would be so grateful. It helps boost me up in that fucking algorithm to get the stories out there and these conversations, because they are fire. And then also, if you want to find me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Pinterest at the Be Real Babe podcast, or on Facebook at the Be Real Collective. As always, guys, I fucking appreciate you guys so much. The love, the support, the listens. When you message me, it just makes my heart so happy. If you have a show you want to talk about, you want to be a guest, you have a topic, hit me up. I love it. I love meeting new people, having new people on the show, and I love these fucking conversations. So now I'm going to shut up and we're going to get to this amazing episode. All right, let's go. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today, I have a very special guest joining me from the other side of this beautiful country. I'd like to welcome Palminder to the show. Hi, friend. How's it going?
Hey Brandy, I'm good. How about you?
I'm so excited for today. Thank you for
Me,
joining me on your Sunday.
me
Get
too.
some real talk. I was so
Yeah,
pumped. I've been waiting for this. How long have we been trying to do this? Like,
yeah, yeah,
I feel like it's been like a year. So thank you for taking
yeah.
time out of your
Finally.
busy schedule.
Mhm.
Finally, yeah. So, before we get to our chats of all the things that we share, that we both like to speak out about, I know the community will know you from, let's say, the Freedom Convoy. But in case they don't, do you want to share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into some juicy real talk?
Mhm. So my name is Palminder Singh. Everybody knows, and I born and brought up in Punjab. It's a part of India now, and I came here in 2009 as an international student, and I immigrated to Canada as a student. Then whoever comes from India, from Punjab, they are come here to stay here forever, like permanent resident. Then they get their citizenship. All the people, I was following the same crowd. I was like, okay, let's go to Canada, get your PR, and you will have a
Yeah.
you are in heaven, like
Yeah.
everything will be good. So
Totally.
then I did all the stuff everybody doing, working far from my family, and we are very aware about the politics back in the back home. We know everything what is happening in the politics, and that's why majority of people they are leaving India, because politics wise is not the best place for people, for common people, and it's not even a democracy. It's a so-called democracy. And
Okay.
over here, when immigrated come here, they are not aware about their political surroundings. They're like, oh, everything is great here, we are in Canada and nothing to worry about. All
Yeah. If
So
it
yeah,
helps, we did it too, man. Like Canadians did it too. So it's not just you guys if that makes you feel any better cuz I think we did the same thing. We're like, "It's
yeah.
Canada. People come here. It's great.
Mhm.
What are you talking about?" And
See,
it's not to
yeah.
say that it isn't, but it's to say that that's a very good point is that like if it's better maybe from where you came from politically, environmentally,
Mhm.
that you're not
Mhm.
maybe going to look at the bad because you're just so grateful for the
Yeah,
good
you're
and
so
the better.
grateful for the system.
Totally.
Everything is
Yeah.
systematic, no
Yeah,
corruption on a
absolutely.
lower level. But then you realize slowly, it's same system is running here, but in a different clothings. They look beautiful.
Yes. Yes. It
Police,
was that
police.
sheep's what
Yeah.
was that like what is it? Lion in sheep's clothing or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
So back in the back home, if a police pull you over, they are very very rude with you. Like they will like treat you like you are animal. Like they don't respect you at all, and you ended up paying them bribe to get rid of them. $100, 100 rupees, 500 rupees. Okay, let me go, and they're taking it under the table, and you leaving. Right over here, the police say, "Sir, sir, sir," and they give you a ticket. You're not paying to the officer, you're paying to the system.
Okay.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
your seat belt is not on. Oh, you have
Yep.
you have to pay us $250. Recently, one incident happened with my buddies. He's sitting on the back seat, and they're driving, they're chilling, and one police car pulled them over, and he didn't even knew like he had to put the seat belt on the back seat, right? And the police guy came, and he gave him a like $250 ticket. And this guy is like working part time. He's like, I don't even make $250 like in 2 days. And he's like, I got a ticket by sitting without a seat belt, right? So it's a different
Oh
system. People still respect that. Okay, I made a mistake. Oh, I got a ticket. But
my god.
now I see it. It's not worth it. Like it's they're exploiting us. You're a jump a red light, or you are speeding in 80 zone. You're speeding on 110. You're getting a $375 ticket. It's not gonna slow me down, but
No.
I'm still
No.
speeding, right? But they're
No.
just creating the revenue, and now we know everything is
Mhm.
exposed. Where that money going? Like recently we all witnessed that, and I was
Mhm.
asleep until the thanks to the I would firstly I want to say thank you all the people, thank you to COVID, thank you the pandemic, thank you World Economic Forum. So give us a wake up call. I was
Totally.
super
Yes.
asleep in the system, super like in the matrix involved, like, oh, I
Mhm.
have dreams, I want to make money, I will have this house, I'll have this car, blah blah blah. Then suddenly everything stopped. Then
Isn't that crazy?
yeah, we had time to think, and we
Mhm.
had time to observe what is going on, the news, the practical life, everything. Then we start seeing people who are awake in that time. They're seeing the bullshit, right? then we start
Yes.
making then we start making new friends and leaving the old
Yes.
ones. Like, what the fuck, can't you see it? Right.
Yes. I think that was like, I think 100%. And I think a lot of people started kind of their questioning maybe up to the pandemic. And I think a lot of us that were like maybe unsure about big pharma, big tech, whatever it was that we were battling with. Like for myself, it was big pharma with birth
Taking
control. I was
Advil,
very,
taking Tylenol.
yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, it's fine. It's just an Advil. It's not meth. And you're like, oh. And then you fall into all the things and you're like, now I'm really into like the dyes and dyes in food and medicine. And it's like, okay, so we're giving red 40 dyes Tylenol to children. And like, what happened here? But I agree. And I love that was my favorite thing about you during the whole thing is that I wasn't very grateful at the very beginning. I was very mad.
Uh-huh.
And you just kind of like popped up and we're just this like, comical, making fun of Trudeau. And
Yeah.
you were also like, look at the bright side, look at the positive, like this is weak. And I was like, you're right. I am really looking at this in a negative way that's just going to drag me down and not make a difference in the world. So how can I do that? And like I told you before, like you were definitely a beacon of light for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people can attest to that because you were still being critical, but you were being funny. And I mean, our prime minister was telling us, specifically white people, that we were racist and we were misogynistic and all these things. So here I had someone that wasn't, and I was like, okay, I don't think I am, but I'm being told that I am. And I'm being told that it's only white people that care about white supremacists, that care about the Freedom Convoy. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you came on and you're like, no. And I was like, okay, Thank you on so many
Yeah,
different levels
yeah,
because they have
yeah.
also, I'm not saying that there's not white supremacists and I'm not saying that there's not racism, but generally, I don't think us as Canadians are. But when we're constantly being told that we are, you actually start questioning if you are. And I felt like I had to turn around and be like, can someone just confirm that I'm not? Because I didn't think I was until you told me that I was repeatedly for a year for not getting a vaccine. Like,
Mm,
I am so confused here. So, like, thank you as well. Like, yes, thanks everyone else, but thank you specifically for me because, yeah, the Freedom Convoy, it was just like, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy.
mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, I am, but like, not this way. And I am being gaslit right now, and I'm not alone. And that
Yeah,
was just the
the
most beautiful thing.
gaslighting was on the next level, on next level, like next.
Yes.
And I was
Yeah.
there, I was part of it. I met all the people. Yes, I met
Hmm.
racist people too, but
Of
I
course.
saw their perspective changing because they never met a guy like me before in their life. They just saw us in the media, or
Hmm.
or people like me you saw in all those Taliban movies, right? we are S-
Yes.
we are Sikh community. We look like Muslims, but I'm not saying Muslims are bad, but the
No.
way they portrayed those communities in Hollywood, in the media, that oh, these are terrorists, these are bad people, right? So they never
Hmm.
ever had encounter with the real guy in their real life. When we
Yeah.
start having conversations together, they're like, bro, we are thinking the same. It's just a
Exact
different
same.
skin color. And even our belief system in India, let's say we are fighting for our freedom, as you know about this
Hmm.
Khalistan movement, is the big deal, right? So
Hmm.
Sikhs
Yep.
are
Yep.
fighting for their freedom in so-called democracy in India, right? So our belief system is same as you and all the freedom loving people in America and Canada, because I'm connected with everybody right now. And we are
Yep.
thinking the same way. We don't want to give away our lifestyle, our resources to these corporations. Same thing is happening in India, in Punjab. You see, have you seen the farmer protest 2.0 is happening right now? Before it was the first one, even before the Freedom Convoy. That was my inspiration too, because I wanted to go there in that protest, but I
Yep.
couldn't. But this Freedom Convoy was my only chance, so I gave my 100%. And I was excited for it. I was happy for this. I wasn't
Hmm.
afraid. I wasn't worried. I wasn't sad. I was like, wow,
Hmm.
let's go there, man. This is what we're
Yeah.
supposed to do. Like, I really felt
Yeah.
alive for the first time in my life, because from the childhood we are listening to our warriors histories, stories,
Mhm.
everything. Warriors do this, warriors do that. I was like, when we gonna get the chance to become one, right?
Yeah.
So this time it
Totally.
was our chance. All our people, the Sovereign Seva, Kuljit, Kulveer, Just Kamal, all the guys with me, they were there, and we were 100% ready to die there. Not just us. All
I
these
see that.
people came to Freedom Convoy. They're like, we are here to die, man. We don't care. So
Hmm.
imagine that vibe where people are getting together selflessly. They're not there for any advantage. They're not seeking any advantage, personal advantage
Hmm.
out of you. They are well settled in their businesses. They have good homes, good families. They don't had to be there, but they were there. We know so
Hmm.
many trucking companies, they lost so much business. People lost their money, their bank accounts, their legal status. Let's say they're having these false
Yeah.
cases on them. They're in the
Yep.
jails, the courts boys, right?
Boys. Yep.
So
Yep.
people
Totally.
sacrificed a lot. So those
Hmm.
people, they raised the vibration in Ottawa, and whoever was there, it was a one in a lifetime experience, I would say. One in a lifetime.
I'm getting goosebumps you talking about it because I
Yeah.
was nestled in my home
Mm-hmm.
across the country. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't fly, and we didn't have the like resources. That's one thing that if I could go back, I think something that I would want to change is finding a way to get there because
Mm-hmm.
even just from the lives and the phones, like I was very much watching like Kristen on the front lines, watching you
Yeah.
guys. We have a girlfriend, Sasha. She was out there and she was actually getting people to buy, she was buying gift cards with people's money and handing it to the truckers instead of having
Yeah.
any sort of transactions so that they
Mm-hmm.
could get stuff. And it was whatever you could do, you did, even if you weren't physically there, and you felt that support, you felt that system across the country. I remember bawling my fucking eyes out the minute the Freedom Convoy left BC. I just was in tears. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that that was going to, at the time, that that moment was going to bring Canada back together. But I just felt so seen and validated and not alone. And then it just kept like this snowball effect as it was going across the country. And like you said, getting connected to all these people across the world, like this didn't just
Across the
affect
world. Yeah,
Canada.
yeah.
Look at everyone now. And I'm not trying to say that, but I feel like, of course, there's been protests, but like, I feel like we did something to the world there,
We
like
did,
as
we did,
Canadians, right?
we. Uh, okay, look,
Started
when the Freedom
something.
Convoy happened, all in the whole world, people were losing hope in the system, in the
Mhm.
pharma, and the government because they knew this is
Right.
bullshit. The
Yep.
vaccine passports, all these discrimination on the name of the medical choice, right? Nothing was happening in the world, nothing, nowhere.
No. No.
Only the Freedom Convoy is the first step. And
Yep.
I was on social media at that time. I wasn't shadow banned. Now I'm shadow banned badly, right? So
I feel that.
I was having 300 followers, okay,
Mhm.
on Instagram,
Wow.
TikTok, like 300 followers. Like
Yep.
then when I started speaking out of my lungs, like by heart, like I was giving my 100% because I was
You
ready
were.
for this for my whole
Yep.
life. I
I
was
love that.
31 years old. Imagine I
Mhm.
was prepared for 30 years to do this. Okay, so
Yeah.
I go all the way in. I speak on social media. I call out Jagmeet, Justin Trudeau, everybody, and I
Mhm.
connected with the worldwide community like Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, US, everybody. They message me. Like I have so many unread hundreds of messages still sitting in my previous account. So many, right?
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
we did something first in the world that sparked the flame, the freedom flame across the globe. After that, we
That's
witnessed it happened everywhere. New Zealand, Australia, big protests start happening, Sweden, everywhere, right? So yes,
mhm.
we did something for the first time, and Canadian didn't even realize that. Oh,
Oh.
we did that actually because
No.
we are so shocked.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that Canadians can do something that big at all, but
Yeah.
it was all
Yeah.
happening because if you study the psychology and spirituality, there's like a
Mhm.
there's term comes a collective consciousness.
Mhm.
So all the people from the world, they were like begging for this, like please do something, something should happen. Then in
Mhm.
Canada, God gave us this opportunity. Okay, so they gave few people idea, bring the freedom because from Alberta people has done it before too. The
Yep.
convoy thing, right? And the trucks
Yep.
they
They
went to
did.
Ottawa to protest and they come back. So they had
Yeah.
experience, and this time they're like, let's do it again. And
Yeah.
they didn't
Even
realize
better.
it's gonna be that big because people are so
Mhm.
ready everywhere in Canada. And we were
Yep.
excited for this one too because a couple of weeks before the Freedom Convoy, all our community guys, we are talking, discussing. We are like, bro, there should be. We need to have something big. We are doing
Mhm.
small protests here and there, downtown weekends. No, there should be something big happening if
Mhm.
they really want to make a difference. So it
Mhm.
was a call from our collective consciousness because everything is one big cloud. So we were sending the
Absolutely.
information in the cloud, then
Yep.
somebody downloaded it and make it happen. So
Absolutely.
it
One
was a
step.
miracle. And
Yeah.
when you were there, I met so many people. They were like, bro, like we are not consuming anything, any no marijuana, no substance, and they're feeling
Mhm.
high. And I looked at the eyes in the people in the Freedom Convoy. They're like shining like diamonds, and there were no duality. People looking at each
Mhm.
other like brothers and sisters and families. They're meeting for the first one. They're just saying nothing. They just coming hug you, and they're crying tears of joy, with the happiness, like they
Yeah.
never ever witnessed this something like this before. And after
Absolutely.
this Freedom Convoy, I made very like good friends like you and Kristen Eagle, uh,
Totally.
Nurse Sarah, so many, right?
Yes.
Independent journalist Monique, and I have so many other friends. They're like high vibrational. They are not complying with this bullshit. They're working on
No.
themselves spiritually,
Yeah.
physically,
Mhm.
so I went to
Mhm.
this visit my friends and their family in Ottawa, and their mother is they're like very spiritual, having
Mhm.
psychic abilities. They were like, we in Canada, there's a majority of people like that, like spiritually who are aware about the energy. They live in
Mhm.
Ottawa, And during the freedom convoy, they could feel the energy. It was very high. The
Yep.
energy, the vibration was so high. That's why our system, they couldn't take it. They had to destroy it, because if everybody could come to there, they could have realized something new. Like we don't need the system. We are the system. They are using us to run their corrupt system. Look, we are their power. We are paying the taxes. We are giving them votes. We are watching the news. We are watching their bullshit. We are supporting them directly or indirectly. We are their power. All right. Over there, we were like a transformer, realizing that yes, we are the power. Real
Yeah.
power. So that's the thing. They
Yeah.
couldn't see it, and they use all kind of force there. Brutality. I have seen first time in my life. I didn't even see that in farmer protests in India. India is very
Wow.
bad reputation when it comes to beating people, putting protesters down, blah blah blah. But that brutality we didn't even witness in India during the farmer protest the way they did it here.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they
You
beat
would think it'd
these
be,
our soldiers, like veterans and everything. It was horrible. People were like, they were like, they couldn't believe it's happening in Canada. Even me, I was like, no way. Like,
that's
we
wild.
saw something seriously like bad is coming, because the way they treated the people there, we knew something bad is going to happen to the world if we are not started taking action. If you're self-centered, working on your own life like I'm doing right now, I'm not very involved, but I'm
Yeah.
aware. That's why we are doing this podcast. I want to speak about it. I want to get people aware, like something big is happening. It's not good for your future generations. We might not feel it, but our future
Yeah.
generations, they don't won't even know the word freedom. Oh, what is freedom?
Mm-mm.
What is that? you know so
You can only buy it from the government as long as you have the right opinion, the line. Like, there's a lot going on there that I don't see how people can't see how crazy Trudeau is. Like, this is, I think, is the biggest gaslit is from other Canadians trying to tell me that he's a good leader. And you're totally right before where you're saying, like, whoever's in charge is just kind of like the puppet, if we understand that, right? Like, they should be able to do what we ask them to. Now I think
yes,
Trudeau's obviously gone too far, and
yeah,
I've seen a lot of criticism, especially lately, of Pierre and where his like allegiance lies or whatever. But like you said, it doesn't really matter if it's Pierre, who it is. We as Canadians have to hold them accountable. We
that's
have to
it.
be involved. We have to have conversations because, like you said, even taking the Freedom Convoy, if you were just zoned into the news and you weren't a part of it and watching it on social media live, because we were
Hmm.
all seeing this live, we're seeing the bouncy castles and everyone's smiling and hugging, like you said, and happy tears and all this happy, and you could feel the vibes, across the country through a fucking electronic device. I was in tears. I was goosebumps. I was working and I was like watching the screen as I'm trying to do my job. Like, we were zoned in,
Yep,
right? But
yep,
we seen it, and then we seen what the news was saying.
yep.
But if you
See,
weren't watching that social media part, you
yeah,
would just see the news, right? So I think, what, like you said, we have to have the conversations. We have to hold the news accountable. We have to
yep.
hold whoever is PM accountable. And whether that's, Trudeau, like, I think just Trudeau's too far gone. Like, I don't want to be that person that just like thinks like once he's removed, I don't think things are going to like miraculously get better,
No, no,
but
no,
I
no.
don't think they're going to miraculously get even worse, because it just seems
Yes,
like the
it will
snowball of
stop.
worse.
Yeah, it will
Just
stop the
stop the
bullshit.
worse.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I'm asking, right? And it's just like, I think that's so crazy to me that we were once the country that everyone came to because it was beautiful and safe and all of that. And now people are fleeing the country,
Yep.
and they're going there for healthcare. They're going there for a better life. And it's just like, how did this happen over the last, I want to say,
8 years,
eight years?
8 years,
Like,
everything going down the drain. Everything, healthcare, housing,
all of it.
financial system, crimes,
Drug
drug
abuse,
problems,
overdose.
everything. The
Yep.
graph is like dropping like crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I know Canadians are aware of it. And like
Mm-hmm.
before the recording, you just mentioned it. Like, let's say P is gonna win, we cannot
Yep.
get go lazy. Like, oh, P is
Mm-mm.
now the PM. We have nothing to worry about. No,
Nope.
they are puppets. So if we are powerful enough, the people, we have enough awareness. We have big organizations together, so we can hold them accountable every week. sending them the
Mhm.
emails, going to see them in person in their what they call the councils, whatever, right? Your
Mhm.
MPPs, MPs. If we build enough pressure, we can use that puppets in our favor. But if we are
Mhm.
sleeping like in past 8 years, we are like, oh, everything is good, blah blah blah.
That's good. Yeah.
Those people above us, they're gonna use them like puppets against us because we are
Totally.
voting for them, we are paying the taxes. But the only problem with us that we are not taking part in politics. We are like, oh, politics, I don't want a political blah blah blah. But if you're not interested in politics, doesn't matter. Politics is 100% interested in you. So first thing you should do, start observing the politics. They are very interested
Totally.
in your personal life, your home, your family, your income, your house, your car, everything, your social media. They're interested in
Yes.
everything in your personal life. And you're
Mhm.
saying, I'm not interested in politics. That's those people gonna let them throw us everybody in the drain if they
Yep.
are talking about this still. They are
Yep.
just no politics, blah blah blah. They're so fake. They are just do surface level conversations, like nothing is happening, like they're
Yes.
just acting, nothing is happening, and they don't wanna be. They don't wanna make themselves uncomfortable. I know a lot of people. They know the bullshit, but they
Mhm.
don't wanna talk about.
Nope.
So
No, they don't want to be
so
controversial. And I'm
real
like,
warriors today,
lean in.
you are having the conversation. You're like, let's say, warrior in the past, Brandy in the past, like in past 100 years, having a weapon and fighting the enemy. You are one of
Mhm.
those warriors now because all this is an information war. They're manipulating us through news and media, and we are fighting them. And we are not even getting a fair chance. Thanks to Elon Musk, he's giving
Censorship?
yeah, he's giving Twitter he freed the bird, he said, right? So I don't know
Mhm.
how long it's gonna go with this, but let's say Twitter is free. But
Mhm.
on Instagram, on TikTok, we are shadow banned. On TikTok, I was growing my account like crazy. Like I hit 50,000 followers in a couple of months during the Freedom Convoy. Okay,
Yep.
and I was
Yep.
gonna cross this show called CTV, CBC in a couple of months. Like I was counterattacking their every news, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
love
I was
that.
getting more views on everywhere. Even if you saw those my posts last year, maybe more than that, like I even defeated Justin Trudeau on Twitter. Like he tweet
Totally.
something,
Yeah.
I did a comment, and I was getting more likes than his post.
I love
Seriously.
when you ratio those
So
people
we
and just
so
destroy
so
them.
we have this power. We are
Totally.
stronger than them, but
Mhm.
they are controlling our weapons like social media and everything. They're shadow
Mhm.
banning us. They're limiting our reach, right? So
Yep.
if they give us a fair competition, we can defeat them like this because we
Yep.
are in numbers.
Yep.
They are just in 10 or 20 people doing the thing. We are millions, you know.
And we're
So
real and
yeah,
we're
and we
truth
are real.
talkers
We are
and
not doing it
we're
for money.
relatable.
We are not doing it
No.
for fame. I'm doing
No.
my construction business. You're doing your job. You're
Yes.
doing it this on the side to
Yep.
aware people. Plus, it's fun. It's real
It's
fun.
so fun. I have so much fun talking shit about the government every day. No, I'm just kidding. But it's fun because I feel like connection is free education, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, yes, you could go to school, and I'm not just saying that learning stuff in school isn't good, but there's a part of socialization and communication, and you gain empathy and experience and knowledge from people's real life because like textbook stuff is just it's textbook, right? And we're so much more nuanced than textbook. So to me it's like this is my university. Every single time I get on, I learn something new. I learn a new like a new perspective or a new thing that I didn't know, or like now I'm like, oh, I got to know what happened with these like I know about the farmer protests, but not as much as like I would like to. So
Hmm.
now I'm just like, we learn new things and we see different perspectives. And I just think that the minute they cut that off and they start that by the division of the labels, like, like you're white or you're a person of color, so you must hate each other. You're a man and a
Divisions,
woman, so you
yeah,
must hate you.
divisions.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
all these labels, I don't believe are helping us. If anything, I feel like it's dividing us more, even when we come to like mental health stigmas, like, oh, I have depression, therefore I, and it's like, no. are you sad? Are you, like maybe you are depressed for a minute, but it's like, it's almost like we have to be put into these boxes where the government can then capitalize on us somehow. And I think
Mm-hmm.
once you wake up and you see everything kind of goes back to the top companies, the elites, the most rich, you know, then you start going, okay, I don't have choice. I'm probably being bought. And when people say I don't care about them collecting my data, they're collecting your data to manipulate you. You should
Yes.
care about that.
Yeah.
And or at least be aware of it, like I'll even catch myself being like, oh, I want this, and then I'll come up in ads and I'm like, oh. And
Yep. Yep.
if it didn't come up in my ads, I wouldn't be
They're
like
listening
tempted.
listening to you all the time, all the time. You talk
Totally.
about even
Just
something
get
I'm very skeptical about this. Something I don't even talk about the product.
mm,
I just thinking in my head, and I saw
yep.
the post, and that's very like I was like, do they have something that reads my thoughts too? I don't know.
Mm. I don't know. I wouldn't be at this point if a
Yeah,
black hole
anything is
opened up
possible.
behind me.
Uh,
I wouldn't be shocked anymore. Like I have no shock value left. Like I'd be like, all right, yeah, that fucking makes sense. What next? But at
yeah,
the end of
yeah,
the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
I think, and I just want to speak to your point earlier about how you said you were speaking out and you kind of took a break and you're like focusing and you want to get back into it. I think that is like the spiritual awakening journey. I think you go through it and you go so deep that you get so depressed and like you're
yep,
afraid of everything, to
yep.
then understanding, okay, what can I control? What
Mm-hmm.
can I change? And then you
Yeah.
start building those blocks, and then you start being like, okay, if I'm healthy, then pharma can't get me. If I'm self sufficient, then I don't have to rely on the government for money. If I can make my own food, then I don't have to worry about supply chains going down because I can make. And then you just start getting empowered. And then you get kind of obsessed with that. And then you're kind of like, fuck everybody else. I'm taking care of me. And then you kind of come out of that. And then you're like, okay, no, wait, I need community. So hold on, and then you come to the space where you know about it, you're
Mm-hmm.
aware, you're speaking out, but you're not so trapped into the rabbit holes that you're just in that low frequency,
Yep.
right? So I think there's like, we all have to go through that where it's just like,
Mm.
devastation, like fuck everybody, and oh, okay, yeah, community, love, light, but also like, no, I'm gonna hold you people accountable, right? So I think
Mm.
that's where we're both on that level where for
Yep.
me,
Yep.
I don't have the money to be supporting this people and all this stuff. So I'm like, how can I do it? I'm not like a frontline protester, but I am really good at talking and I
Mm-hmm.
know people and I'm
Mm.
good at some things. So let's try with that. So to me, it's like, I feel like I'm more of a journalist now than what the like mainstream media is, and just having real conversation and being like, I'm not an expert and I actually don't even know shit about fuck, but
Mm.
this is weird and let's talk about it and let's talk about it with
Yeah.
other people so we can plant seeds so that even like my favorite, and I would love to talk to you about this, is like chemtrails. That to me is one of the hardest ones to get anybody to like even talk about. But I found a way now where I'll just be like, isn't it weird, like, look at this, it's like art, and I keep saying it's art for Sky Daddy. Look at all this art for God that they're making here, like what's with all this? And then when people don't believe me, they'll come to me and be like, B, I was at the beach and I just watched this plane and it went across the sky and then it didn't disappear and then it just went into this like weird thing and it just sat there for hours. And I'm like, yeah, what'd you think about that? And they're like,
Mm.
well, that doesn't seem normal, like a normal plane. I'm like,
Mm.
weird,
Yep.
weird,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then I just leave it. And then now it's just like, hey, I noticed it. Hey, I noticed it. And I noticed the weather changed. And I'm like, weird,
Yep.
weird. I don't
Yep.
know.
This is
So
awareness.
how,
Yeah.
yeah. So how do you feel talking about like where did chemtrails come to an awareness from you? Is that from like after the Freedom Convoy? Have you always kind of known about
Everything.
them?
No, no, no. Everything happened to me after the Freedom Convoy. Before I was super asleep, like in the
Word.
Matrix. I was part
Yeah.
of the Matrix, doing everything they
Same.
want, following all the rules, paying all the fines on time, paying taxes all the time. Now I don't do it.
Totally.
I was like, no,
No,
fuck it.
no,
I'm not gonna
no.
pay it.
Unless I'm getting money back, I did it. I went and did the H&R thing, and I was like, oh, I get money back. Okay, I'm gonna file it. But if I didn't get money back, I was not filing it. I was like, fuck you
Yeah,
guys. Like,
yeah,
no, I didn't do
yeah,
my taxes once for 5 years because I was so pissed off, and then they
yeah.
started like really harassing me. I'm like, okay,
They
five
harass
years is a
you.
long time.
They harass you a lot. Like
They do.
mentally, they make you feel worse. Okay, but they cannot do it more than that. They know it because nothing
Yep.
is real. They are just giving us
No.
counterfeit money because it's given by the government. We know it's real. Otherwise,
Yeah.
everything is counterfeit. Nothing is real in this world.
Absolutely. No,
It's just the
nothing.
belief. We are believing that it's the money is real. Now it's
Yep.
not even physical money. It's the numbers. Oh, bank gave you the $2,000. It's just numbers.
Yep. It's
if
not
you
in your
go
hand.
deep and deep in the system, they are using us, our souls, our time is the real value, and they're stealing it like this. 9 to 5, 8 hours working, groceries, pay the bills, mortgage, blah. They're stealing our life from us, and they're making profits out of it. They're doing giving us nothing, and we are paying them real money, like
Mhm.
that we are making with our own, our blood and sweat, right? Like make
Yep.
real money, giving it to
Yep.
them. They don't have real money, right?
Mm-mm.
Real value. We are giving them real value is time. The time you spend, you work, you create something, and they are making profits out of it.
Yep.
All these
Yep.
corporation models, like all the employees doing all the hard work. I know people. They work for corporations. They do like millions of work every year, make them profit. But what are they getting? 60, 70,000 plus,
Mm-hmm.
plus tax, and the harassment, the mental traumas and everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
they know it's a shitty job, and they
Mm-hmm.
know how much they're helping these corporations, and their profits are increasing and increasing and increasing, and your salary is
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're hitting the ceiling,
Yep.
or they're gonna
It's not
fire
for you.
you. They're gonna fire
Yep.
you because they can
Replace you.
hire somebody with 30 grand, a new person, right?
Yep.
And
Oh, yes.
they're stealing our time. So, like you
Absolutely.
said, if we really want to do something, work on yourself, work on your
Mm-hmm.
business, make sure you're not dependent on the system at all, not on the banks, not on the so-called jobs. They're not jobs,
Mm-hmm.
we are slaves. Back in the days, let's say, oh, slave. Okay, what the slaves used to work? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they get food, and they
Yep.
get housing to live, shelter,
Yep.
food and shelter.
Yep.
Slaves
Yep.
work for because you have to survive, right? So
Totally.
food and shelter.
It's the same.
Now,
Yep.
what we are getting, even food and shelter is on the like, hardly we're getting that. People are going to the food banks. They cannot even
Yes.
afford to buy the groceries. Now they
Yep.
are leaving their houses. The homeless problem is increasing. We are
Mm-hmm.
getting worse than those slaves, and we are working hard for everything.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not
Absolutely.
people's fault. People are doing everything right. They're working hard. Now I know people, they're doing two jobs. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
driving Uber at night, they're doing a job during the day, and still they're like, we are struggling. Whose fault is this? Yes, it's our fault too, because we are not aware what is happening in the system. We are not aware how
But
system works. Canada
yep.
is not a country, it's a corporation. We are all their
Yes.
assets. They're making profit out of us. And we are like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we are paying taxes. If you don't pay, it's a bad thing. We are committing a sin. No.
No.
Like
No.
they're considering it's like a god. Canada's like the
Mm-hmm.
corporation is a god. You have to pay the taxes. You have to pay all the fines. It's all, we are the bad ones if we are breaking the rules. How about these people when they break the rules? Like Trudeau
Yeah.
did the scam of this ArriveCan app. They're scamming every day. They are going for a
Mm-hmm.
vacation, spending your tax money in millions. They're scamming you every
Millions.
day, and they're not paying any fine. And we are just
Mm-mm.
driving on like 80 zone on 110. Nobody's around you, and the police
Nope.
just showed up, give you $350 and make you week a worst week because you don't even make that money for like 2 or 3 days, like the guy who's
Yep.
working on a minimum wage.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
gaslighting us that, oh, we are the bad ones, we have to follow the rules. But rules are not for them same as like us. Biggest joke
No.
happened on April 1st. You want to talk about it?
No, I don't. But quickly, just to yes, I do. But before we do that, just the episode before this, me and my girlfriend Haley, we actually went through the last scandals of the Liberal government, and there was 18 notable ones from 2006 to
Really?
2022, and most of
Wow.
them came out years after. So
Hmm.
obviously, we know 2020 to 2024 is going to be fucking jam packed. But it had like the We scandal, like they had SNC Lavalin. There was like all of these things, like you said, they're never held accountable, but it's always
Nope.
like us, the bad people, and
Yeah.
like the criminals. And it's like,
Yeah.
No, and you can't just throw money at everything. Like, I'm sorry, I'm in BC. You can't just
Mm.
like, okay, so we've decriminalized drugs.
Yeah.
We've like, they're homeless people. If like, it's through the roof, the addiction, all that. But things are better, and it always seems like let's throw money at it, and that's going to solve problems, and it never has. And then that limit or that mass amount that they're taking, it's never going to drop. They're going to keep taking that, and just piles up and piles up. And then, like you said, then we're being told like our money's going to these things. No, it's fucking not. It's going to other countries. What are you
Yep.
talking about? And that
Yep.
leads us, yes, to April 1st, the fool's joke. That's not actually a fool's joke. Um, so, okay, tell me if I'm wrong. So, and this is why I get upset about chemtrails because I'm like, yo, like if you're manipulating the weather and then telling us it's our fault, we have to pay more money because you're fucking manipulating it.
Yep.
That is
Yep.
why I'm
Yep.
so mad about chemtrails, not
Yep.
necessarily our health or any of that, because y'all are literally making rules and starting to seem very COVID-ish about how climate change is. Are we going to see this again where you silence the real talkers, you charge us through the asshole, you penalize us through credit card purchases and vehicles and all that kind of stuff? Like it's giving very 2020 vibes when it comes to climate change. And this carbon tax, I feel like just like 2 weeks to stop the spread. Is that how you kind of feel?
Sorry, what was that?
I feel like the carbon tax and like everything that they're doing is amping up to kind of be like how they mandated us with COVID, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to start mandating us when it comes to like
Yep.
climate change things. Meanwhile, they're
We
the
heard
ones
them.
doing all the stuff, right?
we heard
Like,
we heard them talking in the World Economic Forum summit
yep.
that they're gonna track carbon footprint of every human, how much he's consuming the food, the
Mm-hmm,
dairy, the meat, the gas, how much he's traveling, how big
mm-hmm,
his carbon footprint is. And one thing I want to mention, everything, all the laws, all the police, all the force is against the middle class person who is working, making money, paying taxes, trying to raise his family, trying to have the best lifestyle. He's the victim of the system because the
mm-hmm,
police is always ready to take action against that person, even if he commit a small traffic violation, something happening in his family, and they're very interested in their life, but they're
mm-hmm.
not interested in real criminals at all. We have seen it. They're just now, it's the biggest joke was that they're telling people leave your keys, car keys at the door.
Yeah.
So they're
What the
favoring
fuck?
they're favoring the criminals
Criminals.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to have this conversation about, like, is this system really working for us? Like, people need to realize this. So in few months before, somebody posted a thief's video in Quebec, like from their doorbell camera, that someone is stealing the package, and they posted it on social media. And police officer warned them that you cannot post his video on the social media because of his privacy. This guy is stealing the package from your house, and police is worried about his privacy, not your safety, not your security. Same with these stolen vehicles. And we know Trudeau has, we you seen the Canada is Dying documentary, right? No,
Maybe. I'm not
if
sure.
you haven't,
Let's
whoever is
share it.
listening this, make sure you watch. It's on YouTube. Canada is Dying. Watch
Oh,
it.
yes, I did.
They,
Sorry.
they
Yes, yes.
showed
By
how Trudeau in past 8 years, everything is dropping down the drain, right? The crime
mm-hmm,
rates, and they are passing so many laws in the favor of criminals.
mm-hmm,
They're getting the bail. Even if you murder somebody, you get a bail within a week. If you caught up with the drugs and stuff, you get a bail. And one officer, they're interviewing one officer, police officer, and he was worried about it too, right? He was like, I was
mm-hmm.
catching this thief. He breaked in a shop, and they
Yep.
call 911. He caught him and taking him to the jail, and the thief, the criminal, was laughing at the police officer. And he was like, why are you laughing? He was like, yeah, before you ending your shift, I'll be out. Like, they're that confident now. They don't care
Ugh.
about the police
No,
because
why?
they, because the law, they know the laws, like they're in their favor,
Mm-hmm,
so they are destroying this society, the civilized society, on purpose.
yep.
All the evidences are there. We can see the news, all the agendas, propagandas. They are trying their best to destroy this beautiful civilized society everybody loved. It attracted millions of people across the globe. Let's go to Canada. It's the number one country. They can live, they can breathe freedom, they can do their stuff. Nobody will bother them, you know. And we are seeing in past 3 years, it's changing dramatically.
So
And I
fast.
yeah, and I was the one of those few immigrants who was speaking against it, and they were like, "Why are you speaking against Canada? You leave Canada." You know, like our people, they're like,
Mhm.
"Canada is a heaven. Why are you speaking against the system? If you're so, if you don't like it, leave it. Go back home." I didn't get this comment from the white people. I got these comments from my community. Like they were like, why
Yep.
don't you go back home, right? Like if you
Yep.
don't like it. But they don't realize I'm trying to aware you. I love Canada. I can die for this country. And
Yep.
they're destroying Canada on purpose, and I have to speak against it. They don't realize
Totally.
now. In 3 years, now everybody's crying in our community. All these news channels, they're talking about the same shit. I was like, bro, I was talking about it
Yeah.
3 years ago,
Thanks.
right?
That happens so much. You're
Now
like,
they're
hey,
they're
thanks for
now
joining.
now because all the immigrants are very inclined towards liberals.
Mhm.
Now they don't.
Yeah.
Now
No.
they're inviting period to their talk shows. They're interviewing him because they build the lifestyle. Their children are here. Their business are here. Now this
Yeah.
bullshit is affecting everybody. They really
I
want
would
change, and
say,
they yeah
yeah, I would say, if anything, people that are coming here should almost be more mad because, like, I didn't
yeah
have to
they
go
should be
through a
more
lot of
mad.
shit to live here, right? Like, I didn't have to uproot my whole entire family. I didn't have, and you hear this all the time that people come here to make money and they send it back home and they're the only people here. Like, I didn't have to go through all of that. You guys did. You had to go through all of those
Yeah.
things to come to this beautiful country. You should want to be like, fucking listen, you sold like false advertisement. You said that this was Canada. This is what I came to. So to me, you're living, breathing here, you're paying your taxes, you absolutely get to fight for this place and like to go
Yeah.
somewhere else. And I'm not saying not going back home wouldn't be it for you, but like one thing I hear is everyone leaving Canada as if Canada is the only place that this is happening. Like maybe it just seems extreme right now, but really anywhere you go, you're going to have to kind of deal with this stuff. So to me, it's like, I love this place. I know the potential. And I know the potential of Canadians once enough people get pissed off because we've seen that with the Freedom Convoy. So unfortunately, it has to kind of get to these extremes where people are really feeling the pressure enough to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what's funny now, and just sidebar for a second, I want to know if you noticed this, but the vibe before when people are getting vaccinated, there was no reason why. It was just like, well, I got vaccinated. And as an unvaccinated person, you'd have to explain why you didn't, right? And now all of a sudden it's like you say, oh yeah, I'm unvaccinated. Maybe you're talking to a new person. And they're like, well, I got the vaccine because of this. And it's just so interesting how those things kind of like change. So I just always challenge people to say, like, if this is truly you, this is authentically
We
how you
deserve
feel.
medals.
Exactly. Like, speak it out because you will attract other people that feel the same. And also, you will help other people see the bravery in being honest in your opinion, whether it's right or wrong. Like, even if the vaccine was great and it solved, I would still be like, okay, I took a loss. It was good and my bad, but I'm glad that I lived to what I thought was true and I'm still proud of
Yeah.
myself, but I can admit that I'm wrong. I see that there's a lot of struggle on the other end of being like, so all I just mean is like, it is scary to speak out, especially I'm sure if this isn't your home country and you're afraid of like maybe getting deported. I don't know what the rules are around that, but I imagine there's a little bit of fear that's instilled of being like, can I get kicked out of this country? Like, even Canadians that were unvaccinated that are born and raised here almost got kicked out of their own goddamn country. You know what I mean? So I understand that fear. That being said, it's going to destroy the country for your future children. I
Yep.
have cats.
Yep.
I don't know that we'll adopt or have a child, so like I'm not worried about my children's future. I'm worried about
Mm-hmm.
it for everybody else's. And
Yeah.
if you're doing all of that hard work to move here, all the sacrifice from being away from your family, from what you know, to come to a country to live a better life, and you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting that, you
Yeah.
absolutely have the fucking right to speak out about it. And
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
as a Canadian, please
Yeah.
do.
Now
Like, help.
Brandy, all the evidences are there. Canada is
Mhm.
literally scamming the immigrants.
Yep.
Literally, they
100%.
couple of months ago we are 40 millions. Now we are at 41 million. And go ask those 1 million people, are they happy?
Mhm.
And I met them because I belong to immigrant community. Everybody arriving in Canada within a week, they were like, ah man, we made the
Shit.
biggest mistake of our lives. Now they're stuck because back home they're not they get a loan, they get a debt on their head, like let's say $40,000, $50,000 to come to Canada to have a lifestyle. And now they cannot even, there's no work for new people. Even
No.
people they are like well settled people, they are getting the layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I receive a call from this guy. He's in IT. IT is supposed to be the very good job, like stable job.
Yep.
He's like, bro, we are getting laid off, right? So imagine like in the labor class, there's no job at all in the labor class. They're like, if there is one position, like 1,000 people are standing outside.
Yeah.
It's that worse.
Yeah.
And this Canadian government is literally scamming those people. Now they're
Mm-hmm.
stuck. What are they gonna do here now? So many people
And they
sitting
have to
around
be.
doing nothing. They're mentally
Yep.
not well. So imagine the society, how it's gonna go, which way it's gonna go. Because a lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
sitting doing nothing. Like in the past
Sad.
year, we witnessed a lot of car theft. Crime rate is going up. Why? Because there's so many people, there's nothing to do, so they gotta survive. You know, it's a jungle,
Mm-hmm.
it's a jungle. Living, it's like living in a jungle. You gotta do stuff to survive. You know, you so
Mm-hmm.
people, some people choose the higher ways, like higher vibrational ways to make money. Some people make these low vibration ways to make money, right? So
Yep.
at the end, we can blame the system, but
Yep.
at the same time, citizens like you and all these freedom people, like all this freedom community, they are willing to leave everything behind for this freedom. They're like, we are not gonna comply with this bullshit. Even we don't have much power. We know we're not gonna comply with this shit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I know one day will come. We will feel that yes, we were standing for a reason. We stood strong, and we can see the change coming to the society. Like you have to bring that positive vibration out of you too,
Mm-hmm.
that we are
Mm-hmm.
doing something for a higher cause, you know, for higher purpose. It's not, you're
Yep.
not doing this podcast just for yourself. I'm not just
Mm-mm.
speaking just for myself,
Just
you know. We,
yes.
whoever is going to watch this, they're going to feel that energy too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
make sure we are not complying at all. As long as we are in our head, we know, we are aware, that's energy gonna work. Like in the previously I talk about the collective consciousness, because
Yes.
if you go in a spiritual level, on higher level, everything is one, we are all one. Why we feel so comfortable with each other? Because at the end, when you go higher and higher, we are all one in one consciousness, right? It's God, that we call it God, we call it universe, we call it nature. We
Source.
are all
Yep.
connected, and only we get divided with the duality, with the ego, with all these conflicts, religion, race, colors. And the freedom convoy was the biggest practical example for everybody, because if I would be talking about it, some people might not understand what I'm talking about, but whoever been there in the freedom convoy, they saw
They
it.
did.
There was no color,
Yeah.
no religion, you know,
No.
no country, no language. Everybody was just dancing, hugging, thank you, love you. Like I was like, what
Yeah.
is happening here? You know, that's
You
how
made it to
humans supposed to
heaven.
be. That's
Yes,
how humans
absolutely.
supposed to be. When we are a kid, we don't see anybody different. We just want to be friends with everybody. I have a 6-year-old daughter. She's just love making new friends. You know, if
Yes.
stranger kids are playing, she just go play with them. So we
Love
supposed
that.
to live that way, right?
Hmm.
Not teaching them the differences. Oh, don't go, don't play with him. I know there are some certain boundaries we learn, but I'm talking about as a humanity, we are
Yes.
all one. It's
Yep.
the religion, they, especially the religion, they are just using them to
Hmm.
divide you, to bring
Yes.
hatred to the world. They're not doing
Yes.
anything good to the world. And the core purpose of the religion was to like connect, make you connect, make yourself connected to the God, so you can get
Hmm.
connected to everybody around you. Not like you saying we are the best one, they are the worst, you know. When the division that come, that you are the good, those are bad, that's it, you are failing this journey, you're failing in
Yes.
this test. So
Yes.
yeah, so
And I think it's really interesting too. Like, we can all have our differences, but I think it's just
Yeah.
accepting it, right? Like you said, like, whatever you want to call it, God, source, universe, nature. Like, I always say the modalities are kind of the same, whether you pray or meditate, you're asking something outside of you, you're internally reflecting. Like, the core of everything in humans are usually the same, but someone's interpreted it different. It's just like if we all read a book, chances
Mm.
are we're all going to come up with different understandings because we all grow up different. And that's why I think community and talking is so important. Like, I thought it was kind of crazy, especially growing up in Canada. For me, it was like we had all different type of religions and cultures. So it wasn't racist if I was like, hey, why do you guys dance that way? Or why do you wear that certain dress? Or, and ask questions. And now it's like, oh, don't ask that. Or if, I want to make something that maybe isn't like, I don't know, what is even white girl appropriate? I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, that's cultural appropriation. It's like, no, we grew up in Canada where we didn't, and I don't want to say like we didn't see color because that's a terrible way of saying it, but I get where people say that, where it's just like, no, we're all one. We're all humans. We all, will have different experiences, but that could be, you could have a subset of people that grew up the same religion, same color, same gender, same all of that. And they will all have vastly different experiences
Yeah.
because their
Yeah.
parents had different experiences and their grandparents had different, and it will all transcend. And that's where you, like you said, your higher vibration, you learn not to be weighed down by those people. So you either
Mm.
are in that low vibration where you repeat what you've had in front of you, or you are the change of that family, of that generational trauma break. And you can
Yeah.
see it with people sometimes, and you just have to leave some people where they're at, but it doesn't mean you have to hate them, and you don't have to wish
No.
it will. You just to be like, oh, I hope for you to grow, and like, peace be with you, bye bye. You don't have to
Mm.
surround yourself, but you don't
Yeah.
have to like throw negativity at the differences. And I think that when we
Mm.
start over labeling shit,
Mm.
and that's where we start seeing more of like a division. And it's like, yes, you could obviously be whatever religion or culture that you are, but you don't have to be so blinded that it's the only one or the best one. I think that's where people in extremes get a little bit too
Mm.
much. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's just say take Christians. It's like, I think that's right, because I grew up kind of Christian, and that's why I started questioning stuff, being like, okay, but across the world, they pray to this God and they have these rules. So who is right? And who are you to say who is right? So can I
Mm.
just understand that maybe there is one big, that's how I kind of look at it, is like there is one big thing, and we all have seen it in different lenses. So as long as those top, morals align to being a
Yeah.
good person, does it
Mm-hmm.
really matter how we practice or say or pray or whatever our modalities is, as long as we all just kind of try to be and understand
Mm.
that we are one and we're together. And like, I found this really cool now when someone comes into my life and they challenge me or they piss me off. I'm like, why are you here? Not to them. Like, I'm not gonna be like, why are you here? But in my mind, I'm like, what is this person teaching me about myself? This is a mirror. What am I learning? And I feel like if you take so much of those experiences and connections in life and the good and the bad, and you try to see what it taught you, what it could, like what your part of it is, I think it's just you grow so much more, and you're more open and more empathetic, and then you don't get mad about stuff because you understand that people are probably just in their own lives and not personally against you, right? So I just
Yeah.
think we get too detailed and too aggressive about things, and I think if we just scan out, take a step back, like you said, we're all humans, we're all
Mm.
one, and we're very
Mm.
powerful people. And once you realize how powerful your thoughts are and your
Yeah.
actions and the people you surround yourself with, you
this
start taking
this
personal
this in our
responsibility.
head is very
Yeah,
powerful antenna of the universe, very very powerful. And if
exactly.
you know about Dr. Joe Dispenza, right?
Yes,
Becoming
yes,
supernatural.
absolutely.
So
Yep.
we know what we are capable of. We can heal the
Mhm.
cancer, the broken bones, and everything. And what I was going to talk about, like wrong and right, good or bad, I
Mhm.
know those people will understand who are on the who knows this deeply. Like there's no wrong, there's no right, there's no good, there's no bad. It's the yin
I
yang,
think it
right? The
is.
balance,
Yeah.
the day and night. If there's not evil people, who you gonna call these are good people? How you gonna compare? So it's always gonna be there. There's not gonna be all the time good people, all the time this
Yeah.
bad people. It's always gonna be there. Conflict is always gonna be there. How you want to take, like you you mentioned that some person showed up in your life, you're questioning it, like why did that happen? It happened to me recently. I worked with some guy, and he ended up paying me nothing. I did hard work, I did everything right, and he paid me nothing. Okay, so I was very disappointed, I was very angry at him. I was like, why this guy is doing it? This guy deserved to be out of the market, and did what I could, right? I made a
Mhm.
video, I exposed him. Now this
Mhm.
guy is getting his karma, his he's in a bad place because he wasn't scamming me, he was scamming other contractors too. So now I made a peace with him, not like I didn't talk to him, but in my mind, because of him, I'm on a next level. Because let's say I'm a contractor, I working in this market. There's a level of the market, like lower market, you get like you get paid, and the middle one they wanna like, okay, that's fine. Then this third one is like, it's a good market, you wanna be there, and you do good job, good work, you get paid on time, and you get paid very well. And then I was this level. When I was working with him, I'm in the middle, because I was
Hmm.
like, okay, he's gonna get I we just gonna work and he'll pay us, and he was the middleman. Okay,
Hmm.
so now I'm here because of him. He
Yep.
was the part of the story, because now I'm directly working in this market. But if this guy couldn't show up, I wouldn't be here on the third level. So these
Yep.
people, we call them bad, or now I have two choices. Either I'm just clinging to the situation. This guy did bad to me. That's why I'm here. Blah blah blah. I'm just blaming, and lowering my vibration, and getting nothing out of it. The
Yep.
sympathy,
Yep.
like, oh, that's why. Oh, I wish I could. No, uh, I was gonna get successful, but this guy did this to me. That's why I'm here today. You have all
Yep.
the excuses.
You
But like
can.
now I'm up there, and I'm very grateful that for this guy who stole my money, who didn't pay me anything. I'm very grateful that he didn't pay me nothing, because
Yep.
I'm on the third level where I was always gonna go. But we don't know how the life with God, the universe you call it, how the life gonna take you there. It's not gonna
Hmm.
be the easiest way. It's gonna be the hardest
No.
way, because
Yes.
if your purpose is higher,
Gotta
God
go.
will take you to these most difficult ways. If you ask for strength, don't just think like, oh, strength gonna come. No, God will
Mm-mm.
send you to
Mm-mm.
war zone, where
Yes.
you gonna get your
Yes.
strength. So we are asking
Yes.
for everything, but when the situations come, we are like, why this is happening to me? But if you
Yes.
go deeper, we ask for it.
Asked for it 100%. And I can totally relate to that. And so you obviously know I got hacked, and my online
Yeah,
identity
yeah.
stolen early January, and it took me a while to come out of it. But a couple weeks later, same thing. I was like, okay, yes, restarting and losing a bunch of memories and all that was fucking shitty. Was going back and forth with the banks for months trying to get my money back. Like there was a lot of stuff,
Mm,
but I met people that or rekindled with people that I hadn't seen in forever, because now my new Facebook was putting me on the pages of people I hadn't seen forever because my Facebook was old, and I reconnected to so many people, and now I understood online
mm.
security a little bit better, and
See?
now my mission is to help people to make them feel better. And you're so right, and I think one of the biggest things when people think about, let's say, praying or manifesting, and they go, I want more money. And it's like, you can say that you want more money and that's great, but you're not going to wake up in a couple days and that money is going to be in your bank account. I mean, maybe it
Mm.
is. Sometimes it does happen that way,
It
but
does
you don't
happen,
get
yeah,
to,
yeah,
yeah, you don't get to control
yeah,
how you're going to get that, right? So you say you want money, then
yeah.
that might come to like, oh, now you have a new job opportunity that if you work hard for, you're going to
Mm,
get the money that you ask. But like you said,
mm,
people just kind of think things and then pray for them, but there has to be like, you have to go through it. So if you want a virtue of strength or patience, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to give you lessons to obtain that virtue. You're not just going to wake up and have that virtue. You're going to be put through the situations that are going to help you obtain whatever you're going for. Same thing with
mm,
money. You want more money. It's, yeah, sometimes you do end up getting a check from the government, or you end up winning the lottery, or
mm.
you get a rebate or something, or but it's not always in the ways that you think it's going to be delivered. And I think that's where people give up, is that they're like, well, I asked and I didn't get it. And it's like, but did you zoom out and actually look if you got that or not? Like you said,
Yeah,
if a strength,
yeah.
it's like, you're not going to wake up and feel like you're going to go to war. You're probably going to have to physically do some shit to be able then to feel like you're strong enough to go to war. You're not just going to wake up one day and be like, I'm the Hulk. Like, no, I mean, maybe, but maybe you have to take a lot of steroids the night before. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you
Hmm.
have to work for all the things that you want as well. It's not just going to be handed to you like some magic.
Yeah.
But if you understand the magic of the ability of calling that in and not being aggressive on the how that gets delivered, I think opens you up to seeing so many opportunities in the
Yep.
world. And that's where
Yep.
gratitude kicks in, right? And I know you're a
Gratitude. Yes.
very, very
Th-
big person with that too. The more, and it's so true. People think it's so dumb. It's like, no, if you literally just sit there with your phone every morning, even if it's fast, and you just type 10 things that you're grateful for every
Mm,
single day. Some days you have to sit there and actually think about it, and then you get really detailed. And some days you're just like, fucking 20 things, right? And it just shows you, like, once you see how much you have to be grateful for, you
mhm.
start seeing more, and then you start attracting more. And these things to me seem like they're very basic, but we just make it so complicated in our head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once you get the noise out and you see the basics, you're like, okay, we are very powerful human beings. We can
We
do a
are.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now we know we can reprogram this thing. It's a computer, it's a software, right? And how you gonna
Totally.
reprogram it? The gratitude is the number one tool. It will
Mm-hmm.
attract the abundance and happiness, the health and everything. And what I was listening to this podcast, this guy was like, if you are feeling grateful when you're eating, like be grateful for the food. And
Mm-hmm.
another guy was like, be grateful for the hunger. Okay, be
Mm-hmm.
grateful for the taste. Like he's like, I know one of my friend, like he has some illness, and he lost his taste, and he was like, he asked him like, have you ever give gratitude that you had a taste? I was like, bro, we don't even think about these small things like
No.
taste, the hunger. I know so many people, they taking these medications so they can get hungry, they can eat food. So if you're getting hungry, be grateful, yeah, like your natural system is working in your physical body, right? The
Yeah.
gratitude is the number one medicine. Like if you feel very grateful with your feelings, you feel it before food, before everything, you will attract good health for sure. You will
Mm-hmm.
attract good amount of money in your bank account, good relationship. But if we keep complaining, there's a
Mm-hmm.
verse in our scripture. It says, "Das bas tule pache pave ek bast karn bikot gawave." That means you're taking 10 things from God, you're putting them on the back like a kid, like 10 things take from parents, put it on the back, and crying for the one thing. Like, why you don't taking me this thing? Why? And says if you're not grateful for that 10 things, and he won't even give you that one, he will take back those 10 things as well. This is how deeper
Totally.
this thing goes with the
That's
gratitude.
beautiful.
So make sure,
Yeah.
if you even you don't have a home, a job, be grateful that you exist in this 3D world in body. Imagine you were a snake or some bug or stuck in as a ghost
Or
in some
Justin
another
Trudeau.
dimension. Justin Trudeau, Flash Web.
Yeah, exactly. You could be a shit person.
Most,
Like,
yeah.
just be
So be
grateful. You're not
grateful.
him.
So be grateful, like you're alive, you're in this physical form, you can experience the reality. You're not
And
stuck in,
take
yeah.
it one step deeper. Let's take
Mm,
it one step deeper. I'm going to
mm,
be thankful for Justin Trudeau because he is taking on an embodiment of somebody who I would never want to be, and that
yep,
his soul is like so pained that he has to go through all of this and be that person. Like, I genuinely feel bad for him. And if he's the puppet that is showing everyone that the systems are actually working exactly how they're designed, y'all, they're just not designed for us, right? So they're doing what they should be doing. So sometimes I have to be like, thanks, Justin, because you actually, your
yeah,
leadership and the way
you
you're
got
leading
it.
this country, you
Mm-hmm.
brought me to the most incredible people and the most powerful version of myself. So,
Uh-huh.
and it's thanking those bad, like you said, that person brought you to the next level. So, looking back at your life, if you're happy, generally happy for the most part of where
Mm-hmm.
you are, then every bad shit, good, every fucking experience up into this moment brought you here. So, you don't have to necessarily forgive that person, but forgive yourself in that situation, maybe for being vulnerable or abused or whatever, because you didn't know. And then now you have that experience, you're stronger, right? And so
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy when you can get to the point where you're like, let's say most people don't like their ex-husbands. I'm extremely
Mm-hmm.
grateful for my ex-husband. I'm very
Yeah,
extremely
yeah,
grateful for all that I
yeah,
learned with him, everything that he
100%.
did. He's
Yeah.
not my person now. I'm so happy to
Mm,
see him happy with his wife and kids and the family that
mm,
I couldn't have provided for him. Like,
mm.
I have no ill will. It just didn't work
Yep.
out. And so many
Mm,
people are like, "Oh, it didn't work out. That person has to be a bad person." No, No,
Yep.
like
And
I'm grateful for all of it, because I'm here
yes,
today because of that and because of my
yes,
experience with him.
yes,
And I'm with the
yes.
partner now because of that. And he's with
Mm,
his partner and has kids because I had the balls to stand up and be like, I don't think this is right. And
mm,
we're not going to live our happy ever after like we both deserve together.
mm,
Let's
mm,
break apart. And now we're both
mm.
experiencing that. So how can I be mad about that? How can I be
Yeah,
mad at him or any of those situations?
yeah.
Because I'm actually fucking happy now. Right.
Yeah,
So
and look,
yeah,
this
gratitude.
it is 11:11 here, and
Ah,
now our conversation is on the next level. Why? Because the thing just you mentioned about Justin Trudeau, it was in my head. Now this is the evidence of collective consciousness, one mind, one consciousness. I was thinking about it. I was gonna talk about it. It was
I'm
sitting
so
right
sorry.
here. No, no, no. It's not sorry. Like you already talk about it, and
Yeah.
this is one thing among. Let's make the scenario. All these awake people before the Freedom Convoy, they know all the bullshit, 9/11 and everything. They were
Mhm.
s- like, why people are not waking up? Why people are not waking up? They should wake up. They should wake up, right?
Yes.
Then the great scamdemic, planedemic came, COVID came, World
Right.
Economic Forum came, Justin Trudeau, all these bullshit, and
Mhm.
then they were crying, why is this happening? Why this is happening, right? You
Yep.
asked for it. Now
Yep.
universe created the situation. Now it's gonna awake a lot of people like me, like you, like
Mhm.
majority of my social media following. They're all
Totally.
get awakened after this bullshit happened
Yep.
in with everybody. So universe has his own ways that it works in a mysterious way, right?
It
So we
does.
have to observe. Just
Mhm.
like we said, no, nothing is good or bad. Let's say
Mhm.
Justin Trudeau is not the bad guy. I'm just saying.
Yep.
But be grateful. Thank you, Justin Trudeau, that we are having this conversation today because of you.
Mhm.
Thanks
Yes,
to Justin,
exactly.
thanks to Justin Trudeau, all these Canadians are getting together, having good time.
Mhm.
They found real people they can have
Mhm.
conversation with because they were so alone in their families. Nobody could understand their perspective, their point of view, and they thought they were alone. Then they
Mhm.
realized there are like millions of people out there like them, and they were
Yep.
like, wow. So thanks to
So
World Economic
powerful.
Forum, thanks to
Yeah.
this
They.
pandemic, thanks to Justin Trudeau, and I
Yep.
know we sacrificed a lot of people. They lost their lives. Yes,
Yes.
it's a nature. It's happened in the war zones. Everybody dies and born and die again. We are
Mhm.
on the deeper level where is no good or bad. Everything is happening, and even in the Sikh history, our history is very extreme. Like lot of slaughters, lot of genocide happened in the past. And but if we minus those things, the
Mhm.
genocide, the struggle, and everything, this Palminder wouldn't be talking like strongly like a warrior in front of
Mhm.
Justin Trudeau, in front of World Economic Forum.
Mhm.
If all the Sikh community had an easy life, like nothing happened to them, nobody sacrificed their life, everything was fine, they were living the heavenly life.
Mhm.
I would be very weak person right now. Like, oh, I don't know how to handle this. But now we have so much history on our back. We know these things happened in the past. People died. Like at
Mhm.
the one point, we had like this biggest genocide. Like 90% of the Sikh community, they wiped out 90% of Sikhs in India, right? The Abdali, it was a Muslim emperor, Abdali. He came and he did this. We call it over Dakalukaral because back in the days, the communities they used to live together, all the community, because it was a small community anyway. Because
Mhm.
the Sikhism is the latest religion in the world, like 500 years old, right? So
Really?
at one point,
Okay.
it's the biggest fight, and our warriors are protecting our mothers, children. So they slaughtered everybody, like children, mothers, everybody. Only few warriors survive, like in the
Jesus
numbers.
Christ.
And within 3 months, they bounced back. Within 3 months, they bounced back, and they defeated the same Abdali. And that guy couldn't even fight because he was like, "Oh man, like how come they bounce back within 3 months?" He just left the country. He was like, I'm not going to fight with these people. Without fighting, he left it. So those things from the history, they give us all the power. If I was
Mhm.
speaking in the freedom convoy, I was right there. I was invited by the Rebel News. I was sitting in front of like 5,000, 2,000 people, speaking in front of these people. I was like, they were like, "Do you have a script?" I was like, "No, either I will be blank on the stage, or
Yeah.
I'll nail it, right?" So I was there on
Lol.
the stage for 30
I love
minutes,
that.
and I made a
Nailed
joke
it.
about just about Jagmeet, about my being on TikTok, making 3 minutes videos. Now I have 30 minutes. I'm very
Oh
excited.
my god.
I made the
That's awesome.
environment very light, and they like the energy.
Yeah.
They feel the shift in the energy because everybody's speaking about tense stuff, or this thing happening,
Hmm.
this thing happening, and I turned everything into a comic way, but I project the reality as well, and I give people the appreciation. Like, you should be appreciate yourself. Like, you're sitting here today. You're not sitting here for your family or for your business. You're sitting here for the entire country, for the community, for the world. That we need to talk about this bullshit. So we should feel good. We should raise our vibration that we are on the right side. We shouldn't feel sad, depressed. Why is happening? Why is happening? We know why it's happening. We, all the good people in the world, all the warriors, they asked for it. Now God send
Hmm.
you to the war. Don't complain. Just fight.
No,
And you're
shut the
fighting.
fuck up and go. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. But at the end of the day, though, too, like, and I think with this whole thing, I'm sure yourself is like, once you've gone through your first round of like speaking out and getting canceled and all those hate comments, like, it just kind of doesn't matter anymore, right? You're just like, okay, cool. Like, even before this, social media was also like kind of a place for me. I had this one post where someone told me that I was too fat and someone told me I was too skinny in the exact same post. And
Hmm.
it was in that moment where I was like, wow, I don't give a shit about people's opinions because, like, I'm never gonna, I'm like, okay, so should I just not exist? Like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, yeah, so it's just like, you just have to, if you feel passionately inside, and maybe you haven't had your fuck everybody moment, I need to stand out. Like, we
Hmm.
all have had
Yeah.
our awakening moments where we're done. So I understand. But if you're
Yeah.
ready and you're just worried about being canceled,
Hmm.
guess who doesn't get canceled? People who choose
Everybody.
not to get canceled. Like everybody, like no one gets to decide.
if
There's
you
no
if
one.
you if you're afraid to get cancelled, like you're living your like normal, so-called normal life, you're already cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you care that much, like you're not really living you, right? You're living an
you're
avatar
canceling
of
you're
what
canceling yourself.
you absolutely are. Like, it's just like Christia Freeland said, just delete your Disney Plus and your finances will balance themselves, Like,
Hmm.
if to me, if you subscribe to all of those things and you're blaming society entirely
No,
of why you are the way you are, like
there's
you
so
said,
many
you're
there's so many websites, you can
canceled.
watch all that content for free, so you don't have to pay them.
Totally, exactly. And like, and there's so much out there. I think too, people get overwhelmed, right? So I think
Hmm.
when you get overwhelmed, all you got to do is come back to yourself and come back
Yeah,
to your
take a
basics,
break.
right? Like,
That's it.
take a
Yeah.
break. And like you said, meditate, write your
Hmm.
gratitude journal, write out your thoughts, talk to people. Don't
Yeah.
sit at home and scroll Reddit and just stress your, like, meet community. I think that was the biggest thing. Everyone's mental health was at the end because we are just sitting online and not actually fully talking, but just like researching too much. And then when everyone started connecting and talking, I feel like then the consciousness started to lift up and everyone's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is scary, but we can do this. And like, imagine people that have been awake for the last like 15, 20 years, how fucking annoyed they must be. Like, I get annoyed now and I'm like, what do you mean the government's batting 100? No, they're not. And then I think, geez, man, what about these people that have been doing this for like 20, 30 years? They must just be exhausted at this point.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know what you sign up for. Like you said, we're all like quote unquote warriors here to,
Hmm.
it just looks
Hmm.
different. We're just not going out with guns and death. It's like,
Yeah.
it's going out with words and having to like
Word. They're scared of
share
our words.
information.
They're
So
scared.
afraid.
They're scared. Like,
Yes.
I tweet this tweet one day. Like, just give us a fair competition in social media. Will show you who's the daddy, right?
Totally, exactly. Like, yeah, if you want to
Yeah.
face fear, just go on
Yeah.
Twitter and
Yeah.
TikTok. No, I'm just kidding. But I think it's super important that we continue these conversations and that we lead with less ego, like you said, and just being like, I don't need to know. You don't need to be an expert and you don't need to know
No.
everything to have an opinion and have a conversation, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's where so many people during the pandemic were like, well, I'm not a doctor. And it's like, okay, you don't need to be a doctor to seem that this shit is fucking weird. Like, no, we need to
That
start taking personal accountability and stop putting like the government said and these things said and like I did this because the government said. It's like, no, do shit because you actually want to do it and it's aligned with you and you'll feel better. And like you
Yeah.
said, being reliant on the government. Can we go back
Mm-hmm.
quickly to one thing though I wanted to bring up?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like, and I'm not entirely sure, and I'm sorry if I'm being ignorant to this, but when immigrants do come to Canada and you say that they've had now a big debt and then they come here and they can't get a job, are they then now able to go on some sort of assistance for the government and then quote unquote have to be reliant on them then to survive? Is that like another situation that someone would get put into?
Over here, if only those refugees, like people
Okay.
who are like we are, they are they might get killed in their country. They come here as a refugees, and Canada is bringing a lot of those people from Ukraine, from the war zones. So those
Okay.
people they get paid from the government. But the people
Okay.
I'm talking about, they are either
They
here
just
on study permit or work permit, or
okay.
visitor visas. So
Yep.
those people don't get those benefits from the government, but they have this option too. They have to make this paperwork that they have to prove themselves that they're seeking political asylum in Canada because the situation in their back country is not good, not safe. They don't feel safe there, blah blah blah. So
Okay.
it's very stupid decisions to make,
Yeah.
because in Punjab and back home it's not that bad. If you still go back, you make your decisions right, you can make good money there, you know instead of saying that, oh, we are not safe there, so you're now a refugee here in Canada, and you never know when you're gonna get your citizenship. Maybe 30 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 5 years. I know people
Mm.
who are stuck here for 30 years. They don't have anything. They have their file in the processing, that's it, and they cannot even return back because the Indian government say, oh, you said to Canada that you're not safe, why are you coming back? So though they don't even go back. In immigration, we can do the one podcast. It's so scary. They are victims. Immigrants, they are victims
Yeah.
of everything. They're leaving their home country, they're leaving their families. Over here, they are being exploited by the government, and all the ways they're following all the rules. They're paying taxes. They have to pay the taxes because they have
Mm-hmm.
to get their permanent residency. They have to sponsor their families. So why this Canadian corporation is bringing immigrants? Because they are the most taxpayers. They paid most of the taxes because they had to.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
leave no choice. That's why they need more people like them, just like sheep. They work 7 days, two shifts, work, pay taxes, not thinking about politics, not thinking about the
Mm-hmm.
system, what is going on, paying their
Yeah.
tickets on time and everything. They're being the
And
good
thinking that's
citizens.
okay.
But
And
they don't
thinking that that's
realize,
okay.
now they're realizing that this is bullshit. They are being exploited by the system, right?
Yeah.
So another thing is all these immigrants, they are very, like I said, inclined towards the liberal party because they very open with the immigration,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. And conservatives are known for they don't like immigration. I when I came to Canada, there was a conservative party ruling in 2009. I
Oh,
was like, how that logic
what are you
works?
talking
Like,
about?
there's so many immigrants there in Canada already.
Yeah.
There were a conservative party there before too. Like,
Yeah.
what do you call his? I forgot his name.
Harper?
Stephen Harper. Yeah,
Yep.
and a
Yep.
lot of Sikh Canadians, they are conservative too. They are MPPs. They're how
Yeah.
I don't see this thing. I like liberals. They're like ruining the country on purpose. They're not,
Mm.
now they're gaslighting the white people. Now they're like trying to give protect the immigration people, minorities, but it's like they one day you gonna suffer big time because
Yep.
they're not friend to nobody. They're just
Nope.
using you against each other. And now I'm
Yes.
seeing on social media a lot of pages. They post some immigrant people's videos, and I see a lot of hate in the comment section. Oh, Canada is not same anymore, blah blah blah. And one thing is, it's not those people's fault. It's the government's fault. And if you really care about your system, stop commenting. Start having the conversation. Stop,
Yep.
go talk to those immigrant people. How much they are suffering already in Canada, right? So we just learn to hate each other. Oh, they look different, they
Always.
act different. Oh, they're not
Yes.
Canadians. I know they're
Yep.
not Canadians. And imagine you're 19-year-old, you're 18-year-old, you haven't learned anything about the society, and your parents are sending you to another country, and you're all by yourself. You
Oh,
have to work, you have to study, you have to make your own food, you have to look for where you want to live.
yep.
You're all by yourself.
Yep.
And I was the example. I was 19-year-old when I was here, and I'm very grateful for my friends and for families. They take care of me in the beginning, and I was able to stand on my feet. And there are so many people, they have nobody here, they just all by themselves. So there's so much pain behind this whole immigration procedure. And
Yes.
rather than judging each other from social media, go have conversation, ask their story. Like,
Yeah.
they have made the stupidest decision in their lifetime.
Give them some grace. Just
they're
kidding. But you should
they're
be
regretting
listening.
it big time.
But that's what I
They're
mean.
regretting it big time.
You should have
And
those
when I talk about,
conversations.
yeah, let's say, uh, 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 um let's say these people are talking about go back to India. I cannot even go back to India because I call out that bullshit too. And in India, it's very, it's their record is,
Worse.
if I go there, they will say me, oh, you are anti-national. Either they will send me direct to the jail, and I'll be disappear. It's that bad, okay?
Yeah,
But
the conversation needs to be had about how much they're suffering because I don't think people fully understand. They just think, like, oh, they're coming here and they're escaping their country. But actually, a fellow that I work with, actually, he's in Ontario.
mm-hmm,
He's from India, and he told me same thing. He's 22 now. He's been here a couple years on his own, and his parents came to visit for the very first time. And I was like, I just commend him all the time. I was like, bro, you came to a whole other country. You had to learn a whole different language. You have to learn this whole job. You have to do it
mm-hmm,
all your own. You don't have friends when you start. Good for you for like, I couldn't do it. Barely handled moving to Alberta from BC. Okay. That is a different part of the very far, not very far apart. I was very close to my mom if I needed her. So, like, again, but I'm not going to say this way, but media does have a bad way of pushing that divide, right?
yes,
Like you said, when it comes
mm-hmm,
to movies, when it comes to anything, TV shows, unfortunately, some places in the world really depict other countries or religions or cultures in a
mm-hmm,
terrible way. And if that's all you've been exposed to,
yep,
not saying that's your fault, expose yourself to more before you come with a prejudice of what you think
mm-hmm,
some other culture or religion will be like based off
mm-hmm,
of someone else's bias in a video or a
yeah,
movie. And like, we know that the governments are involved in Hollywood and the CIA is deeply in there. So are they
mm-hmm,
going to make the US Army look bad against other countries? Absolutely
mm-hmm,
not. They're going to make them look like they're the fucking heroes,
yep,
and that everyone else that is fighting against them must be bad. And
mm-hmm,
that is where that
yep,
rhetoric, and people don't even realize that they have
mm,
that just from consuming those movies and those TV shows. And it's,
yeah,
once you see it, you're like, I can't watch a movie any other way now. Like, fuck. Like, can I just watch a movie to be entertained? No, I got to call out all the political bullshit
yeah,
that I'm seeing right now. But again, you have to like take stuff at face value and not get so like warped
mm,
into it. But if you're an immigrant that's here by themselves, barely surviving, how do you even see one foot in front of you, let alone to see the bigger picture? Like, I
yeah,
totally can fucking see where that is hard to be like, listen, it's better than where I'm coming from. And like you said, if I'm going to go back to jail, then this is kind of like my better option. I'm just going to shut the fuck up so I don't have to be afraid.
mm-hmm,
But there's people like you that are like, no, too fucking bad. This is what I was born to do. And I'm
mm,
going to fight for this country the
mm-hmm,
best that I absolutely can.
yeah,
So before we wrap up today, this has been such a great conversation. Do you have any suggestions? Like, so say someone is just now getting upset with politics. What would you suggest they should start doing? Like, should they start speaking up? Should they start researching? What are our steps if we want to start making a better government for making Canada better? What do you
yeah.
think?
First thing, start with the thoughts, because we know this programming thoughts become things. So how you thinking about the
Mhm.
system? Are you even thinking about it? Like how this politics is, like we mentioned earlier, how this politics is affecting you everyday life. All right, it is affecting you. Do some research and read the news to observe what are they programming you. You know, what are they trying to
Yeah.
see through the news. What is the
Mhm.
real message in the news, right? So
Yep.
join the community like you and me, have conversation with the people. Then let's
Yeah.
say peer is gonna win for sure, right? So it will be fun to have these gatherings with PDA, like, oh, you win, we support you. Make sure we build enough pressure on him, on the system.
Yes.
They so they unable to do any kind of bullshit that Trudeau did, right? So it's the people. We are the power. We are their power. We are the transformers here, right? So
Yeah.
we give them the power. So as long as we are aware, we are having these conversations, and whoever is avoiding these conversations, they are avoiding the fun. We don't. This
Yeah.
hour and a half we are having now. I didn't even drink a coffee. My nothing. I just having a water, and I'm fully like high on, on this
Yeah,
conversation. So this is so
totally.
much fun to having these conversations, because these are the real conversations we're talking about. We're not discussing random people, stupid support, or a
Kardashians. Yeah.
movie. We are talking about the real stuff. So this is the real conversation, and there's so much fun. And those who gonna listen to it, they're gonna feel it too. So this is a butterfly effect. We are talking this small podcast here in the small cameras. There's
Yes.
going to be big impact in the universe, because we are sending the signals out there. So never ever think that what we say, what we do going to impact. What we think, it's going to impact on the bigger scale, the collective
Yes.
consciousness. That's why they trying to control your thoughts through the news.
Hmm.
News is all the time bad.
Yeah.
They want to make you feel bad. They want to make you feel sad. So they all these big people out there, they know the power of human brain. If Dr. Joe
Totally.
Dispenza can do the research, they have done the
Yep.
research hundreds years before
Totally.
on the human brain, on the programming. You
Hmm.
know all this bullshit already, right? So dumbing
Yeah.
us down, there's a book, Dumbing Us Down. If you read that, how this use the schooling to condition us to obey the system, whatever government is doing, never question it. Whatever mainstream is showing you, never question it. Whatever the advertisement are showing you, they're always right. Now
Hmm.
we are seeing the
Hmm.
bullshit. Never ever
Totally.
trust those people. Like if they're saying
Nope.
something is bad, this
It's
that
probably
might
good.
that thing might good for you, if this
Yeah.
is right. So I'm not
Absolutely.
saying just stop doing everything. Just
No.
try to unlearn what they taught you, and restart your own research. Like on the chemtrails, there's so much uh, content out there.
So much.
Geoengineering dot that website is
.com.
there. And about the
Yep.
this sunscreen and
Hmm.
sunglasses, the infrared ultraviolet rays, blah blah blah. Don't sit in the sun, it's not good for you. you know those things, like what the mainstream narrative. So challenge it. You are a human.
Yep.
You have a fully grown brain. You can think. You can help corporations make millions of dollars for profit. You can do a lot of things by yourself. So never ever limit yourself. We are so strong, and we all these freedom people, they have felt it big time. So that's why
Hmm.
we are doing it. That's why you are doing it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Think.
absolutely. I got that power and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. And then even just I started like 5, 6 years ago,
Mm,
just thinking gratitude. Just in the morning, I would just think a couple grateful thoughts. And I started seeing the effect. And then like you said, you kind of get addicted to it. And you're like, how can I make my life better? And what blows my mind is when you tell people you are powerful enough to change your life, and they're like essentially mad at you for saying that. And you're like, but I have this, but I have that. And it's like, great. There's a solution for it. There always is. It might come with a lot of work and it
always,
might take some
always.
time, but, and like you said, everything has to have intention. If you're just doing something to do it, you're probably not going to reap the benefits. If
Mm,
you're just meditating and you're just putting your headphones on, in 5 minutes you're trying and you're not really even trying to practice, then you might not see the benefits. Like you have to have intention, like you said, with eating. Like, do you sit down and are you grateful for the food that you have the ability to eat, that
yeah,
you
yeah.
physically can eat? All of those things. You break that down and you start focusing on the greatness. It
Hmm.
starts coming in, and then you start feeling good enough to not fight the bad, because like you said, everything is, but wake people up that they can have a better life. I don't necessarily think these things are, like you said, good or bad. It's just like, are we living our best life, and are we being suppressed by these thoughts and these stories, the narratives that we have in our head, ingrained by our families, our
Mm,
environment, the government, mainstream media? Like, you can break out of those things. It might take time and you have to have intention and practice, but you can. And
yeah.
that's what empowered me. And like you said, we just have to keep having these conversations and not be afraid of them, not be afraid to be wrong, not be afraid to offend somebody. Like,
Hmm.
if your heart is truly in for just learning and trying to advance yourself, then I don't think anybody should be offended by you asking a question or wanting to learn more, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's insane to me that like I could like obviously we have different experiences, like we're going to grow up differently, but that doesn't mean we don't relate on so many different things. Why would I just look at you and be like, well, you physically look different from me, so therefore we must have nothing in common? It's like, actually, that
Yeah.
is the only thing we usually don't have in common, is the how we look. And like, I don't even look the same every day. You can look me at my stories in the morning and I look like a trash panda, and then at nighttime I
Mm,
can make myself look good, right? Like, it's just, we have to really just get back to human nature and connection and not be
mm.
so afraid of each other and let fear win. And how we do that is practicing gratitude and
That's it.
abundance and
Yeah. That's the
facing it,
secret.
face the fear. Just
yeah.
post one controversial Facebook thing and see what happens. Delete Facebook for a day, go back to it, and you won't have died. And you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't die.
Hmm.
Cool. Let's try that again. Like,
Go.
you don't have to eat a full spinach salad, but just put like a little spinach into your shake every day. And then you'll start
Yeah,
eating spinach, like baby steps into standing up for yourself in this country. But y'all, we have to do it. Like, we can't
perfect.
just rely on us from the Freedom Convoy that have been doing it for a while to continue. We need that snowball effect from the rest of Canadians. And I'm
Hmm.
talking from BC over to Ontario here, guys, coast to
Perfect.
coast.
Yep, yep.
Right. And so, Palminder, I'm sure most of our community follows you, but if
Hmm.
they don't, where can we find you on social media? Because I feel like this is going to be your little springboard into the next part of
Hmm.
Palminder point three, maybe, of like getting out there and, sharing more like you did in the throes of it.
Yeah, my previous account is like Palminder 111990, like 1990. It's
Yep.
still there. It is shadow banned heavily, but you can go in the history. You can see all the Freedom Convoy videos, the lives, everything is there. They shadow banned on the day, the last day when we were doing this last stand, the standing in front of those forces. They shadow banned my account
Yep.
that day, and
Of
then
course.
I make Palminder 1990 _2.0, and that is now on 18,300 something
Oh,
or less. I
super.
don't know. I don't remember. So that shadow banned as well. Like if I getting 500 followers, then
Yeah.
it will show you 500 unfollowers. I like, okay. So like why the exact amount? Like 300 followers, 300 unfollowers. So it's not
Oh my
letting me
God.
grow. My content is, yes, I'm very grateful that my content has like as many views as my audience, because 10
Yep.
15,000, but it's not reaching to like 100. It's not getting into that algorithm where your content goes 100,000,
Yeah, me either.
and
Yep.
yeah, so it is shadow
It's
banned, but I
frustrating.
speak about it. I speak about India. The Sikhs are
Mhm.
having issues with India. The Khalistan is very uh, big topic in Canada as well. Something big is
Mhm.
happening with everything. India, Pakistan, India, US, America sakes, India is trying to assassinate our activists here in the US, in Canada, right? They already did. So much is going on. I'm fearlessly talking about everything, and I'm very grateful
Good.
that in Canada we have this much freedom that we can talk about this bullshit, and we are not getting
Yep.
arrested. We are not getting
Not
assassinated. But
yet.
in India, not yet, yes. And in
I'm sure
India,
we're going
it's
to jail
worse.
soon. I'm just kidding.
And India, it's worst. Like uh,
I can
it's
imagine.
worse than this. Yeah. So my
And I
family.
will
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing that stuff from about India and all of that. If you'd be interested, I would love it if you could share some of that stuff just to help Canadians, because I always see it and I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying. I cannot read this, but I am full
Yeah, we
support
can
of
do
you.
one
So if
podcast
you,
on
yeah,
our
I would love
struggle,
that.
how Sikhs ended up in Canada when they have their
Yeah.
country back. And still, it's not a win-win situation. If you leave a country, settle in a new country, you have 50-50. You lost lots of stuff, your feelings, your self of belonging, your family. There's so much going on around this immigration part. It's not a fun stuff, and
No.
I really want to put my perspective as an immigrant, how I see it when I came here, how I observe those people who came here 30 years ago, 40 years ago, how they are feeling, what they are going through, how they see their families. Because obviously when you belong to a certain culture, you want your kids to be those, but they're growing
Yes.
and studying in Canada, and they're totally different. So so much struggle going on. Like it's
Oh,
not like easiest part. Like, oh, move to next country, you will have a good life. You know,
no.
if you value
No.
if you value your culture, your language, your morals and everything, then it's bit hard, very hard for you to settle in the new country where everything is challenging. Especially these days
Yeah.
when we see the
Ugh.
LGBT and all this kind of stuff.
And
It's a
that's where my
scary part.
biggest question is for liberals. It's like, hey, hold on. You're for minorities and people of color, but when they're saying that their religion doesn't feel comfortable with this whole LGBT, which is a
No,
whole other topic, and
not at
I
all.
won't go us down that, but then you're saying that they shouldn't have those beliefs because they're in your country. So are you respecting them and their religion and their
Double
cultures and
standard.
their upbringing, or are you fucking not? Like, you're kind of eating your own head here, like that. I just, that's why I was like, so you want them to respect you, but you don't want to respect them. And then, like, where's this happening here? I thought you're supposed to respect minorities and people of color here, but you're telling them that their thoughts and their religions and things that they've had for decades, years and years, are no longer valid. Like, do you hear
Hmm.
your own stupidity?
It's
Not
big
to be
time.
that way, but
It's clown
it
show.
bothers me so much. But this has been amazing. I would actually love to have maybe yourself and maybe some other individuals that are immigrants that have come as well, maybe from other countries, even, to come on together and just kind of speak on everyone's
Yeah.
individual experience, because I'm sure it's very similar but then different as well. So I think that is a, because I think that Canadians need to understand, like you said, it's not just come over here and live a better life. Like, there's so many roadblocks when it comes to jobs, when it
Hmm.
comes to your education, when it
Yeah.
comes to your finances, to your
Yeah.
family, to what
Yeah.
you can and cannot do. And I think that conversation needs to be had so that people that are more racist or leaning towards, like, I don't think most conservatives like absolutely don't want it. I think they just want more transparency or understanding or a better life for the people that are coming here. That's what I want as a conservative. I just want your guys' lives to be better when you come here, and progressively I'm seeing it's just worse. So it's
I'll tell
like,
you.
how are we here?
Yeah, I'll
What?
tell you one thing. Sikhs back home,
Yes.
our community, they're conservative too because
Are
they
they?
love their region, Punjab, and now they're seeing it's being invaded by other people from other state from of India. Like, they're making businesses, they're building houses, they're settling down, and it's changing their culture, their language, and everything, the system, the whole system. So everybody has this right to feel protective towards their community, towards their culture, you know.
Yep.
So now they just call it racism. It's not a racism. Yes, they are racist people, I know. They are stupid, they are
Totally.
not in the right mindset. They are in every community. They are in my community
Everywhere.
too. Everywhere
Yes.
there's a racism. It's not just the white people. Now they're saying all the white people are racist. It's in everywhere. We
It's everywhere.
hate other skin colors just without even talking to them, just by the in India it's a caste system. It's the worse than that. Caste system, you know, if you study about it, it's worst part of racism, the caste system, you know. So it's everywhere.
Yes.
Everybody wants to feel
Yes.
protective in their own bubble,
Where
in
is
their own
it? Yep.
family and community. So it's okay to feel that way.
Yep.
It's not like just like they are changing the narrative of everything now these days, right? If you're
Yep.
feeling
Absolutely.
protective towards your country and they call you a nationalist, you're extremist, blah blah blah, right? They give you the
Yes.
mainstream, the media, build certain words for these things. So
Ugh,
yeah,
misinformation,
yeah,
disinformation. And you have to
disinformation.
watch, right? And that's where
Yeah,
you can learn, and you just have to be aware. And it starts with you guys. Palminder,
yeah.
this has been an absolutely amazing conversation. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Brandy.
much for
Thank you.
spending some time today for your first one out of many, because I still have 3 seasons, my friend. So you're going to have to obviously come back on. You guys make sure you're following Palminder. Not only does he share a lot of stuff that you guys should know about, he also is
Hmm.
super inspiring and motivates me when I just want to like rage out into the world. All of a sudden he'll pop up and say something like kind, or like just be in nature, just vibing in a glow, and it just makes me feel better. So
So,
10/10 recommend of watching, following, and subscribing to everything Palminder has to say. It's my favorite. But guys, as always, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, Palminder, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye,
thank
guys.
you.
Thank you guys so much for the support. I cannot thank you enough for being here. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please give me a follow at the Be Real Babe podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, and Pinterest. You can also find me on Facebook at the Be Real Collective. Until next time, guys, bye.